Dick, and today we're talking about commitment phobia. Men are afraid to commit. This is the number one complaint I hear about men from women. We think with our dicks is number two. Close second, but this is number one. I once had a woman give me a book called Why Men Don't Commit. It was written by a man, and it was a totally bullshit book. It was full of all sorts of nonsense. What struck me was the fact that this woman thought I needed to read it. So, why do men fear commitment? Okay, here's the short answer. Are you ready? They don't. Men do not fear commitment. That's right, you heard me right. Men do not fear commitment. What do they fear? Obligation. Obligation is what they fear. And if you want to be more specific, they fear obligation without reward. Obligation without reward. So what I want to cover in this video is the difference between commitment and obligation. And why men don't actually understand what we're getting ourselves into when we get into a committed relationship. Now, I don't have enough time to get to this whole thing in depth, but the nutshell is this. The reason that book I was asked to read was bullshit, and I did read it, by the way, the entire thing. I was a good man and read what she asked me to read. I'm willing to do my part, right? The reason it was bullshit is because it was totally confused about the difference between commitment and obligation. Well, we use the words almost interchangeably, almost as synonyms. There is a distinct difference between the two, and I'm going to show you what it is. Commitment is self-created. It is self-motivated. It is self-sustained. It is a choice that comes up. It's a choice. It's really a choice that wells up inside of a man that makes him willingly sacrifice everything else for the one thing. It's a noble thing. It feels good. It feels right. And when a man does it, it's about the best thing in the world. It defines us. Obligation, on the other hand, is externally created. It's forced from the outside. It's motivated by duty or fear. Most specifically, fear of the consequences of not fulfilling the obligation. This is legality, right? And it is enforced with punishment. There's some stick at the end. There's something that's going to happen to you if you do not fulfill your obligations. It's very legalistic in its approach. This is contractual. This is lawsuits and all of this. This is life. This is self-defining. Big difference, right? So if you want the Cliff Note version, here it is. Commitment wells up from the inside and moves outward. Obligation comes from the outside and puts you in a box. Obligation, right? I now signed the contract without actually knowing what I was signing or what I was signing up for. A lot of fine print in those relationship contracts. And so now I have to do things that I really wasn't expecting to do. I have to go without things that I wasn't expecting to go without. And I have to become someone I had no intention of becoming. The idea of just being accepted as I am doesn't seem to play into that mix. I have a role I have to fulfill now. And somehow I'm supposed to even like it. Men are bewildered by these expectations that are laid down on us. And it's rightful that we should be bewildered by it. We don't really know what the terms are. We don't know what we're getting into. We don't know what it means to be responsible for being a good boyfriend or husband and doing my husbandly boyfriend duties. We have no idea what that is. And now I'm obliged to do things that I don't really want to do necessarily. And moreover, I have to keep doing them, even though I've long forgotten why I signed up for this in the first place. This obligation is not something that just kind of goes away. Now, if men know what they're getting themselves into and what we will get out of it, we are more than willing to commit. I mean, more than willing to commit. We are happy to commit. In relationships, we're happy to commit to one woman. We're happy to do it. Matter of fact, we're happy to lay down our lives for that woman, to protect that woman, protect the family. But we really don't know what we're getting. And unfortunately, we have way too many examples of men who got into it and couldn't get out of it, signed up for one thing and got something completely different. And believe me, there is nothing sadder than a man committing to something, getting nothing out of it, and the only thing he has left to hold on to is the knowledge that he's keeping his commitment. He's keeping his word. The only thing he has left is integrity when he gets none of the rewards of the commitment. That is very sad. Okay, point number 2. Why don't men really understand what we're getting ourselves into? The answer is we can't understand it. Why? Because the world of the relationship is foreign territory to us. You might as well drop us in the middle of China. We can't speak a word without any money or clothes or a map and expect us to survive. That's what you're asking when you bring a man into relationship mode. I mean, we only have a couple of models of relationships for men. A hierarchy, who's ahead of me, who's below me, who am I going to kill, and who am I going to drink with. That's about it. That's as far as it goes. So relationships are women's territory. It's natural. It's as natural for them as breathing. They just do it. They flow like water. It's completely natural. For us, it's totally foreign. Work defines us, not men. not relationships, not men either. A woman working on a relationship with a man is like a man washing a car with his 5-year-old son. It's very cute, it's amusing, but you're going to have to redo everything he did. So women expect us to do things that we have no idea how to do them. And when we do them, we do them badly. And everybody's confused as to why. There is something we can do. And we can do it really well. And women can't do it at all. We can define boundaries. We can define protection. We can define the scope, the perimeter of the home, of the community, of the family, of the relationship. That we can do. So those of you who love to talk about 50-50 relationships, I know this is radical, but forget it. It's not real. Now, I'm not talking about the jobs, right? I'm not talking about changing diapers and doing the grocery shopping and balancing the checkbook or doing the dishes and laundry. I'm not talking about the mundane chores. Of course, that's 50-50. Everybody does what they got to do. I'm talking about the energy that makes a relationship happen, the content of the relationships. Men can define the perimeter. We have a hell of a time trying to define the content. We're just completely incompetent there. Really, I know this sounds radical, but women need to let us do what we can do. Protect them and make them feel physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and even spiritually safe. Define the borders of the home. That's what we do. Everything else is washing your car with a 5-year-old. Look, folks, this is not 100 years ago, where for the most part you had to get married and sire children to get any kind of sex or any kind of relationship at all. We're not dropping babies anymore just to have help on the farm. right? We can get plenty of sex in a relationship. We can have intimate relationships without having a commitment. So we really need to be clear as to what we are getting when we give that commitment to just one woman. We need to know what we're getting and have the confidence that we're going to continue to get it to sustain us doing what it is we can do. Now, is that too much to ask? Okay, now before all the cards and letters and emails start coming out, I want to point something out. I am not anti-commitment. I am not anti-commitment. In fact, I believe that commitment in a relationship is a crucial step in a man's personal, emotional, and spiritual development. And if he doesn't make that step, something is going to be missing. But I am totally anti-ignorance, and I am totally anti-relationship by default. I will lobby for the rest of my life for enlightened, conscious choice. Give a man that, and he will amaze you with his power. That is what we're about at the Balls Project. So come help us. Help us help each other with claiming conscious choice as our birthright and becoming everything you know you can be. P. Walsh, thank you for listening.